Hey traders, happy weekend. Hope everyone's relaxing after the carnage that we've seen. I want to start off with one nice looking chart before we get into the bad stuff on the US markets. The TSX is holding up quite well after my timing signal for this indice turned bullish here. You can see noted here with the green arrow, and so far the pullback, it's not really being affected by what's going on in the US at this point in time, and it looks to just kind of be bouncing it along in this trend. I probably could have redrew this trend line, and this is actually quite bullish that it doesn't just keep going up. Is the fact that it consolidates, it's going to give the chances that when it does break out, I think a higher odds of success. So moving on to the US markets, I've got basically a couple different chart views of the of the NASDAQ and the Dow. I just want to talk about my timing signal a little bit, where it stands, going forward over the next couple days, I believe are very, very critical. I think that we're at a point where the bulls have a small window to turn this around, and I'm trying to be as objective as possible because there are some things that look really bad, and there are some things that look not so bad. And essentially, in videos I talked about last week, it's still boiling down to is the NASDAQ going to drag the Dow down, or is the Dow going to pull the NASDAQ up? And Friday was a case of the NASDAQ just dragging everything down. I want to start with chart of the Dow. When you look at this chart, I see it falling to an area where there's support. Basically it ran up into resistance and sold off, and this is not a problem. Like, I view this as actually quite normal. Even this big sell-off in the context of what it's done is not abnormal. Let's look at a couple different views. This is a 60-minute chart. This doesn't look horrible. We have to put things in perspective, and we can't let just the sheer red, tickers and your account totally influence you into doing something that you might not want to do. When you look at this chart, this still looks, I see a cup with a handle. Yeah, so with that being said, the Dow does not look that bad, but the NASDAQ, on the other hand, what chart? Like, this just looks horrible. Let's look at this one, and you can see that we're just making a series of lower highs and lower lows. We busted through pretty much all the support that I had in this midterm uptrend, and then this short-term downtrending channel, we broke through that as well. I think what's going to happen next week is I think we're going to get a bounce, and I think the strength of that bounce is going to determine whether or not the bulls can save this selling. And I don't know what the catalyst could be. It could just be earnings. It could just be investors wake up next week and decide they want to buy stocks. Who knows? A comet flies overhead, and who knows what really causes investors to do what. So there's a possibility that the bulls can save this, but the turnaround has to happen like Monday. And one thing that I see here, which tells me that we could have had some sort of mini capitulation, is this volume bar has exceeded the upper Bollinger Band. And I've just noticed in the past there have been times, like for example here was a time when there was extreme up volume. It basically was attempting to break out of this little range, and it couldn't do it, and that was a top. And we've seen a large increase in volume, and this could be a short-term bottom to where we bounce. And that's why I say the quality of the bounce, there has to be strong breadth, there has to be strong accumulation, or else I think that these markets are going to go significantly lower. And so I'm advocating caution. I would not be over leveraged. I would be trimming some laggards that you've got on this bounce, and keeping your eyes open for stocks that are responding positive to earnings.